Hello once again. Welcome back. As you can see here, I have my Amiga desktop brought up on the screen, which must mean I'm about to show my newest progress on Dungeons of Daggorath. If you've not been following the channel, I am recreating Dungeons of Daggorath for the Amiga. Recently, I've started taking that same work and porting it to Fuselage. This has been a learning experience, and it's allowed me to expand the features of Fuselage, most importantly the features pertaining to the pixie layers, which have a lot of primitives such as line draw. So that has been really useful in porting Dungeons of Daggorath. Now, I got inspiration for the line drawing features from the Amiga's features, which has a pattern drawing feature, which lets you set the pattern that the lines will take. By implementing that, I was able to emulate the dot patterns you see when the dotted lines are being drawn. As you can see on the Amiga and in the PC to a different degree, the scaling problems haven't quite been sorted out yet. There is a little bit of work to do, but things are coming along pretty well. I have already implemented most of the game's features, save for monsters, their AI, the heart rate system and the power system are not implemented. Combat has not been implemented. Of course, that's going to require the monsters. But the entire console and lighting system has been implemented. But, yeah. As you can see, combat is not. So, there is a lot left to do. And I'm only working on it in my spare time, so I don't know how long it's going to be before this is done. But with the progress I've made the past 6 months, I expect it to be done by September. So that gives me July, August, yeah, I think I'll have it done by then. If you are a Dungeons of Daggorath fan, subscribe if you want to see this through to its completion. Let me know what you think about what's been done so far. It will be available on the PC as well, and I'm going to try to get both them versions done at the same time. Sound needs to be implemented, and here's my interesting take on sound. See, I have access to the sound samples. Some of the other versions that have been ported to PC and other systems have the sound samples bundled with them. Now, I could include the samples and play them back on the Amiga and the PC port, and that would be easy. That'd be the simplest, most straightforward way. But including the sound samples would balloon the executable size well beyond its current 25K size, which is already bigger than the original TRS-80 version of the game, I believe. Yeah. Maybe. Anyway, point being, my idea in this port is to try to keep the size as small as possible. That means one of the ideas I'm going to play with is procedurally generating the sounds based on all of the parameters that were supplied in the original game. Now, doing that on the Amiga and the PC is going to require allocating a sound buffer, trying to figure out how they created the sound on the TRS-80, and then trying to more or less emulate it and create a sound sample from that emulation. So, in essence, I wouldn't be storing the sound samples. I would instead be storing the algorithm used to create them. If I'm able to figure that out, I should be able to keep this whole game on the Amiga down below 30K, I believe, and on the PC probably under about 300K. Windows executables being much larger than anything on the Amiga, just by nature of being for Windows. There are probably ways to shrink that down even further, but Fuselage itself is already becoming a rather large engine with a base build of about 120 something K just without any features being used. It just ends up being that way on a very bare skeletal build. So I'm not going to be able to make the game any smaller than that, I don't think. Anyway, so yeah, sound is going to be a challenging aspect to this project. Probably much more challenging than implementing the combat and the monsters. All of the items are in the game, though all of the effects that they supply are not implemented yet. Like some of the magic scrolls will do things like show hidden doors, which actually the hidden doors are in the game, you just can't see them. Because the scrolls that reveal them are not activated yet. Now, for testing purposes, I do have an ability to show the doors, but that will be removed in the final game, simply because, I mean, what good are cheat codes if, people are just going to use them to make the game easier? Can't have that now, can we? However, since the game will be open source, anybody who wants to download it and make modifications will be free to do so. Or maybe I'll put a secret or two in the game to allow you to access those features. We'll see. Anyway, if you want to follow the progress, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe down below. Like I said, I can't promise when this will be done, but my goal is to have it done by September. So I think that's probably going to happen. I don't want to release it before it's completely done, though. I don't want to release it before the sound is implemented. So if the sound becomes a major hang-up, it'll probably stall the release of the game. But whatever happens, I'll be documenting it on this channel. So stay tuned for that. All of the final work should be posted on GitHub when I'm done. And as far as implementing new features in the game, extending it with color graphics and better whatever, controls, maybe using a control, I don't know. All of those ideas that we can toss around all day will be reserved for after the one-to-one completion. So after the game is complete and a perfect clone of the original, if the interest is there, we can look at those ideas. Or, since it'll be open source, anybody's free to take it and download it and modify it however they see fit. The Fuselage version is actually the reason I'm doing this. I wanted to see if I could port it to the Amiga, simply because I thought it would be a fun distraction. But I also wanted to see if I could write a game that used essentially the same source code on the Amiga as the Fuselage build. And so far, that has worked out far better than I expected. In fact, the versions, other than the scaling issues, are at complete parity right now. There is no feature that's in one that isn't in the other. And hopefully, once this is complete, that'll also include the sound. So, having said that, this is where we're at. Keep an eye on this channel. There will be more progress on this to come. So stay tuned, and I hope to see you by the end of September.